Hi, Internet. Welcome to another installment of The What Else Show presents Exclusively Admirers. I'm your host, Bethany, and I talk to people I admire about people, places, and things that they admire. I had an opportunity to have a conversation with a dear friend and talented actor, Mars Lipowski. Mars is an award-nominated voice actor as well as a voice director and sound designer. In this episode, we talk about what propelled Mars forward on his creative journey, where creativity comes from, finding yourself, overcoming adversity and trauma, and Mars shared some very important life lessons with me. You can find Mars at the links in the description. You can also follow the links in the description to help fund mental health support in the US and the UK. So this is your trigger warning and content warning. We touch on a lot of topics in this episode, including political climate, the Iron Curtain, overcoming adversity, trauma, and suicide. But it's also a conversation about making peace with where you are on your journey in life. May you find this conversation with Mars as enlightening, uplifting, and hopeful, as I did. Mars, thank you so much for joining me on my little podcast here. It really means a lot that you're here and that you even wanted to do this. So thank you so much for coming on.
Listen. Like I told you, Bethany. First of all, I couldn't wait. Right? I couldn't wait because first of all, we know each other from the stuff that we've done on Twitch with Podcast 141, which I really appreciate, as you know. So I couldn't wait, and I saw what you're doing already, your own stuff. I'm thinking, this is great. I'm gonna be on the other side now, and yes, and it's gonna be just two of us having a conversation about whatever you want. Awesome! Thank you so much for inviting me. I do appreciate it. Like I said, I couldn't wait.
I'm so
go.
excited. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, let's get into it. So I have some questions for you, obviously.
Yeah.
Because I love asking hard questions. So I want you to talk about someone that you admire and tell me why you admire them.
Okay. For example, if it comes to my voice acting career, I mentioned this person a couple of times during the many episodes where I was interviewed on. Now, I guess this gentleman, I'm not guessing, I'm sure of it. This gentleman had the biggest impact on my voice acting career. But if it comes to my thinking of becoming an actor or voice actor afterwards, that was influenced by many actors of hundreds of movies I watched as a kid. At some point, after being completely, I was into movies since I was a kid, and I thought at some point I fell in love with human voices. Obviously movies. My dad was a filmmaker. My mom used to run the film discussion club where they used to watch very niche movies, and they used to sit there afterwards and discuss, and I used to watch very strange things as a kid. But she used to take me to the cinema like 2 times a week, so I used to watch movies week after week, everything. And we used to live in a hotel, workers hotel back behind the Iron Curtain, and there was a tiny cinema in the basement, so I was watching there every Sunday. I was watching a movie, like a proper movie. So voices was my thing, right? James L. Jones and many other actors, obviously. But afterwards, when I grew up, video games came in, and at some point, I'm gonna get there. Hold on a sec. It was like the end of 90s. Yeah. I got this game, Shadow Man, by Acclaim Entertainment, and this voice, the voice of the main character, just blew me to pieces. I've never before heard that kind of, how to put it, a tone, resonance. The voice was just ground shaking. The gentleman who voiced this guy is named, his name is Red Pepper. He's British. And I didn't know who he was. I didn't even think back then that to check the obviously the cast of the game. I didn't care really. But what I cared about was to record every single cutscene on my tiny tape recorder. And I used to take it to, I used to study fine art at the time. So I used to take it to classes and I used to play it to my, friends, like, guys, I just heard the most amazing voice ever. You have to listen to it. And I used to play them pieces of the cutscenes from the game. And they were like, what the it's impossible that someone can have a voice like that. I said, just imagine. And I was so, how to put it, it become, I was so passionate about this game. And I'm not sure if it was the game itself, but the voice. I still remember every single cutscene from the game. And I can recite it like on the spot, like, poof. And some years passed. It was 2000 nearly. Obviously, Facebook came in, and at some point something clicked in my head. I said, I'm going to try to find this guy. Because this thing about becoming a voice actor was still at the back of my head. I used to do many different things in life. Oh my gosh, so many different jobs. So many different people I met. But voice acting, this thing was still there. Always there. So I reached out. I'm not sure if that was the guy. Whatever. And years passed. I moved to the UK with my family. I became a voice actor. And at some point I created, because I'm a sound designer also. I'm a sound designer, so I created my gaming reel. And I did it myself. And there is this organization, Gravy for the Brain, and they every year they throw a party. Let's call it a party. It's a conference, one voice conference in the UK and all over the world also. So there is this one voice ceremony, one voice awards, and you can obviously apply for the award. And I did, and I've put it for the category of demo reels. And all of a sudden, I was in the business for like 3 years, and all of a sudden it turned out that in 2021 I was nominated in this category. And there was like 3,500 people putting their work in for nomination. I was nominated. A guy from Poland came into the UK, started his voice acting career, slowly but surely, and all of a sudden, boom, it landed. I'm not sure who told me that. I remember I received a message from someone, and the message was like, Mars, congratulations, you got nominated. My God, dude. And I was like, okay, but when I'm going with it, I was preparing myself to land on the ceremony, and I thought, I was in contact with Red Pepper already. Like, wow, we had a conversation. I told him everything about my, what I was holding, for him, for his, voice and everything. And I asked him, like, Red, is there any chance you're going to be at the One Voice conference this year? He goes like, because beforehand there was COVID and shit, And it was like, Mars, dude, yeah, I'm gonna be there. I'm picking the One Voice, the Voice of a Legend award. And I was like, holy shit. Oh my God. 21 years after I got intoxicated with Shadow Man, a video game, and I was completely bonkers about this voice, there's a chance I'm gonna meet the guy that made me a voice actor, that influenced my willing to be a voice actor the most. And I landed on the ceremony. And okay, I met my friend Lizzie Jobling. She's an awesome voice actress and everything, and she helped me to get there because I was out of money and everything, because of certain reasons. So she helped me to get there, which I still appreciate. I will always remember that. And it was so important to me, So I landed on the thing, and I sat down at our table. There was like, I don't know, 30 tables, 8 people each. And I'm looking at it like all around. I'm like, wow, there is probably like 60% of those people are mega legends if it comes to voice acting and voiceover. And I'm sitting there. No one knows me. But the other person I know is the lady who helped me get there. And the guy I'm to meet. And I'm looking at the table of the organizers. And I'm like, holy shit, that's Red Pepper. And I told everyone, listen, guys, I have to tell you something. Red Pepper. And I told them in a very short, much shorter than I'm telling you now. Like in 30 seconds, I told them the whole story. And they were like, holy shit, you have to say hi. I said, I will. I'm not a person who, I'm not shy or anything too much. I'd rather stay composed and, like, okay, I'm going to take my time. And imagine, and now, fasten your seatbelt, yeah? So, nominations, people go to pick up their awards, blah, yaggedy, yaggedy, yaggedy. All of a sudden, they call him on the stage. The Voice of a Legend award goes to Mr. Red Pepper. He stands up. He turns around. He goes through all the tables. And he comes to my table to say hi. Imagine this. When I remember that, I get emotional because it was such an impact. He didn't care about anyone. He did some high fives on the way to my table. And he comes to my table. And I'm the first person he talks to. He goes like, hey Mars, good to see you finally after all these years. And I stood up. Okay, I'm 6'3", and he's like, I don't know, he looks like Shaquille O'Neal, yeah? And I'm like, wow, this is it. Like, this is it. I mean, there is no more impactful thing if it comes to, you're thinking of becoming someone, like meeting your most influential character ever. And so, we did high five, we hugged. And he went. He didn't care about the rest of the people. He just went on the stage, yagged, bam, bam, bam. He took the award, and I sat down, and I'm like, what the fuck just happened? Holy shit! And I look, and I'm looking at the people, and everyone's like, and I'm looking on all the tables, and everyone's looking at me like, shit. Who is this guy? I'm like, I'm nobody. Seriously, really. So everything finished. I went outside, and Red is standing there. There was this sort of wallpaper where everyone could take photos on. I'm like, Red, do you mind if he goes? Yeah, let's go. His voice. You guys have to listen to Shadow Man, or just look up Red Pepper, REDD Pepper. You're gonna understand. You will understand what I'm talking about if it comes to those chords he's holding. Shit. And he's like, here. So I was like holding him like this, standing there. Boom, we took a picture. I'm like, gosh, dude, you don't understand. You cannot understand what's going on here. Like, wow. This is it, And let me add one more thing. If it comes to Red Pepper and this whole thing here, I remember because it was in the middle of year of 2021. It was October. I remember this is the most significant, one of the how to put it, the most significant points in life that people have. Many different things happen. Like my daughter was born. That was the milestone of the biggest of all, yeah? Period. Nothing can overcome it. Anyway, and then my son. But I remember I recorded something. It was in the middle of October. I recorded something that year. I went downstairs. I sat down. The kids were in bed. I sat down. All of a sudden, this thought came to my head, like this realization. And my wife is looking at me like, what's going on? I said, this is so amazing. She's like, well, you talk to me. Yes, I'm like, I think I found myself. I know who I am. You know, and I'm 40 years old, 40 something years old. So now I can tell to all the youngsters that jump all over the place, going fucking nuts because I don't know who I am. I said, Jesus Christ, just chill. It's gonna take a while. You shouldn't expect from yourself to find yourself, to know, to understand who you are. It takes time. You know, some people get this realization faster, some people later, but this was my day, you know. And I was like, wow, this is it. I'm a voice actor. Yeah, I know what I'm supposed to do. Yes. It's a very long answer to your question, so I do apologize, but I had to unpack myself regarding that. Okay, that was the first person. That was first person.
That is amazing. That is amazing.
It is. This point in my life
did you kind of feel like, oh, okay, I've arrived? Like, did you kind of have that?
Yes. Like, that was it. Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I mean, listen, I did so many things in life. Oh my gosh, so many strange jobs. I was trying to be the best version of myself in every one of those. But that was not it. I reckon people are born artists. Although I don't know, I don't want to get in any, you know, like argument or discussion with anyone. I don't know whether we born artists or not, or maybe we are like maybe we grow in it when we are kids. Perhaps because of my dad's filmmaking and my mom's passion for movies. Maybe because of that. Maybe. I guess yes. It was a huge impact. It was a huge impact because of the time I used to spend in cinema. Perhaps because of that, yeah. But I used to draw, I used to paint, I used to do so many things. I reckon, yeah, the art is the thing here, you know. And I reckon, sorry to go aside a little bit, but I reckon every one of us has this spark of art, of ability to create, and we all need it, you know. Some of us don't realize that we need art, whether it be poetry, painting, whether to create or to observe or read. We need it. Okay, most of the people don't ever think about poetry, you know, art and everything, until someone dies in your family, or until you have a huge breakup, or your child is born, or you fall in love to the point that you don't know anything anymore. Like you're so in love that you just go nuts. And all of a sudden people try to find something to understand what's going on. And then all of a sudden they reach out to poetry, they look at paintings, they look at pictures, they observe, they want the explanation. That's where the art is important, because it makes us connect. Me as an artist, I have a story to tell. So it's like me being like, hey, let me tell you my story, you know, let us connect. And someone out there is like is connecting to you, what you're doing. Whether it's like I said, poetry, painting, you know, drawings, and whatever it will be, singing, you know, you name it. We need it. It without this, nothing has any meaning. It's like it's impossible to find a meaning for so many things in life. because no one has ability. Without this, no one will be able to explain you anything. Science, yes, science obviously it puts us into place and so on and so on. But this, gosh. So understanding, like you said, I arrived. The arriving, episode was yes, and afterwards, yeah, things I done afterwards, yeah, huge impact.
That literally changed the trajectory of your life. It changed your
Yes,
path.
yeah.
Like that.
Oh yes, oh yes.
That would be a
It
tough
just it
act to
just put me in
follow.
a place. Yes, okay, because I meditate, and I had a huge break in doing this recently, and I'm going back to it anyway. But I was trying to how to put it. I was trying to I was looking to for someone to truly explain to me what connecting to the universe is, the meditation in this case. And I found a gentleman, his name is Dr. Joe Dispenza. He approaches meditation from the scientific point of view. And because I think I needed the explanation, like a proper scientific explanation, like black on white, that's what it is. I needed that. And it changed a lot. And I had such a huge success if it comes to the effects of doing this. So I reckon, yeah, yes, Dr. Dispenza, yes, that's another person. And then I would say Billy Carson, yes, another guy who I would say rather um, not explained anything, but he would rather put the stamp on me trying to ask someone, is it true? So Billy Carson comes in here with the knowledge, and he goes like, yeah, boom, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you are right. This is it. I'm thinking about where we come from and who created us and so on and so on. I don't want to go too deep because I don't want to connect to any of this religious stuff and everything. I'm just saying that after Red Pepper, those two guys, yeah. And obviously people from the past that I met in life, people who overcame traumas, my friends, and certain people I know who survived, bad things to become I mean, people who survived traumas to stay here to create something great out of themselves. I admire those people immensely. Yes, yes, my friends. Yeah, I'm not gonna name them because they wouldn't like it. Yeah, But yeah, those people are they put me into place. If I disconnect from myself and I go like, I have like weaker day, and I'm thinking, oh my god, I know, this shit is not working on this and that. Boom, I go back to people who came from really dark places. Yeah, I mean, I don't have to. I mean, I cannot say my life was bright and shiny and no fucking candies. It wasn't when I was younger. Oh my god, it wasn't. So I'm proud of myself also, and I appreciate myself from not getting nuts and not putting bullet in my head because of that. I appreciate myself for it because I created two wonderful lives that occupy my house. I didn't create them. I just had the spark there, but my wife did. But we have two wonderful children. If I went nuts back in the days, yeah, it would never happen. Anything would never happen. So I am proud of myself and I appreciate myself for it because yes, it's awesome. That that should be the answer for your question. A bit long,
No,
but yes.
and
Thank you.
I think people forget about overcoming trauma and how
Mm,
transformative that can really
mm.
be in
Not
our
easy.
lives.
Not easy.
Yeah,
It's
it's
so
not.
terrible
Yeah.
sometimes. I think I started realizing the fact. I mean, I learned about this side of life not long ago. I was never paying attention to it. Like I used to remember my all the bullies from the school and everything. Of course, I had situations with the bullies, and it was awful. My gosh, shit. It made me angry, for years. Although I took revenge on some of them badly. Whew. Because at some point I started training full contact martial arts, so I got stupid at some point, and the retaliation took place, which left me with the bitter taste of it's like a Pyrrhic victory. You win, but then you lose eventually. And then years after, when I was grown up man, I understood where it all came from. If it comes to them, bad behavior comes from your parents. So I know those guys had shit parents. The worst of them guys, his dad treated him like shit, and he was the same. But I remember I hurt him badly. My God, I'm not proud of it. But we had a conversation years after, and I remember I saw him with his daughter. She was like, I don't know, 10 by then. And I saw the love. He was um, showing her. I remember I was sitting in a beer garden in my town in the summer, and I saw him. He used to run this cafe, and I saw him. I'm like, wow. He was never bad. He was just terribly influenced by his dad's behavior. And after he disconnected from his family, he started a family of his own. He dropped this bullshit. He disconnected from what is not true about him. And I saw this guy like loving his daughter to bits. And I'm like, we're gonna have a chat. We're gonna have to have a chat. Yeah, that was impactful. So when I go back to it, I understand now where those people where those behaviors and situations come from. You know, and I am proud of those people, and so many of them that I know that came from very bad background and situations. I'm so proud of them, and I'm so happy they survived, because I lost people because of that. One of my best friends, killed himself because he was so disconnected. So yes, those people I appreciate, and those people are made me understand, you know, this side of life, and yes, so that's a huge impact here, yes, an influence over my life, yes.
Yeah. Empathy is, I think, one of the most valuable things anybody could ever learn.
Mm. Oh yeah,
Having
oh
having
yes,
that
oh
empathy.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
oh
Empathy,
yes.
understanding. Yeah, because
And such
that's
such a simple, tiny, tiny things can have such an immense impact on your life. Like we get, I mean, the system is made to keep us occupied all bloody time. So you are completely disconnected from yourself and from the most important thing. Like recently, we went on a bus. We went for a tiny trip with my kids, and I sat down next to this lady. And because my parents brought me well, as in if it comes to my behavior towards other people. which is so strange. I can't. It's so rare these days that people behave like genuinely nicely toward each other, especially in the UK. Nothing against. I mean, I'm saying that the UK is some dump hole, but I sat down next to this lady and I just said good afternoon. And okay, so the boss was writing, and all of a sudden she's like, "Wow, it was so nice. You know, no one ever says anything like that these days. Like, no good mornings, no good afternoons, no good evenings, and everything. That's so nice of you." And you know, and we started chatting. She's like, "Wow, you made my day. You know, like no one ever talks that way anymore." So what I'm saying here is like such a tiny, tiny, tiny thing. You know, such a tiny things can have some impact, or change something. You brighten someone. You know, it's we are so disconnected from each other these days. You know, and such short connections are so important. You know, I remember I saw this guy. I saw this video about this guy, a homeless fella, and someone took him to a barber. So the barber just cut his hair and did his beard and they took care of him. But what was the most impactful in this video was the thing that he started crying because the guy was touching him. Like he was crying of the he needed a contact with other person so much, like a simple touch, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to say here is like we are all connected, you know, whether you want it or not, whether you understand it or not. We are all connected. So, like I mentioned before, through art, through 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 telling your stories, through art, people connect. That's what's beautiful about life. Yeah, yeah.
You have such an awesome perspective on life and the world, and like could listen to you all day. So, my next question for you is, do you have any stories that you've always wanted to share, or a story you've always wanted to share, but maybe you've never had an opportunity to, or nobody's ever asked you about it?
During the years of me studying fine art, I knew I'm gonna obviously there's gonna be the end of it. So everyone is like had to do a final work for the, for the ending of it. So we had to create something, whether it would be a sculpture, painting, drawing. I was more into drawing and photography. But since I was creative to the point it was driving me crazy, during the same time when I was studying, I started writing poetry because of all the heartbreaks and me. I think I don't want to go like I don't want to sound like, oh, I'm so important. You're gonna. Oh. No, 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 no. I think what the creative side of my brain was going too fast, and I couldn't, or there was like too many things going on, and it was also fueled by my will or need to escape to some safe space, or to, I know for this for a fact, to um, not to explain, but to tell my story. I don't know, of what was going on in my life back then. So I started writing the set of poems, and I thought at some point I'm going to put them together. So so I made a series of graphics, or rather artworks, for the purpose of finishing, you know, the university, or however you would call it. But I connected everything to the book. So I've put together all the poems, and I've sent it to the printing shop. I created all the artwork for it. It was awesome. It was awesome. Creating this whole stuff was amazing. Poems themselves, okay, I'm not sure. I wouldn't put them in on a very high shelf of, like something so impactful or anything. It was just my thing. It's cool. But I made an artwork. I made a lot of artwork for each poem. I had an artwork next to it. Some of it I had to take a picture first, and I had to put it in my computer, and then turn it into the universe of what it was. So that was big because I was so heartbroken at this time. Oh gosh, it was the end of the goddamn world for me. So I created so that was interesting because it was like it clicked all of a sudden. Apart from doing the drawings, for my teachers to look at and to put the mark on my tiny student book. I thought I'm gonna go goddamn big here. I'm gonna make a book. I'm gonna connect it to all the artwork. So all the artwork was from the book, and on all the artwork was a tiny short verse from each poem. That was awesome because a lot of people came because there was a huge exhibition afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
When we finished, I mean, during the thing there was a huge exhibition. All my friends, fellow students were there. I think the studying art made me understand certain things, how stuff come to be, like what it is and where it comes from, like what thoughts people put in it and how to understand certain things. That was great. But my friend made a sculpture, and someone who doesn't understand art would look at it like, "What the is this?" You're like, but I understood what it was. Like it was strange sculpture. It was just a face and arms, but there was a knife cutting through it, and this knife was a symbol of hate. So there was, yeah, and it was called motherhood. And so he told me about this, and I understood what it means, and I'm like, wow, the way he showed it through the sculpture. Yeah, so and then so all the drawings and paintings were there, and my stuff was there, and the people I really wanted to see it came in, and yeah, it was a bomb. Seriously, yeah, it was great. It was great. Yeah, and yeah, it was like my way of cutting the rope here. Like, I have to stop this. I was I was punishing myself for falling in love and all that. Yaggedy yaggedy yaggedy, and I had to cut the rope finally. Like there, I reckon. But then again, I understand that I learned throughout life that certain things have to happen. You have to be yourself, right? You have to do everything your own way, falling in love, connecting to people, and this and that. You're gonna suffer. It's impossible not to. It's just part of life. But what's it for? It's to teach you how to do stuff afterwards. So I know afterwards I would know what not to do. There was a story, let me tell you, there was a story. It had nothing to do with my state of mind, but I had a story of, I like to call it the history of violence or other. But I got attacked on the street in my town once by two fellas. if it was, but I was training back then at that time, and my sensei used to train us not only in obviously the art, but also the street fight. So don't perform any bullshit. Just go for it badly and painfully. And I was going back home from the training session, and those two dudes just attacked me straight away. Like there was no stopping, like no asking for a fag, or like give me your fucking phone or anything. No, it was just bam, straight away from the back. Afterwards, I stayed at home for a month. I haven't went out for a month. I was so afraid that I killed them. And at some point, my sensei, got to my place because I told him I'm sick and I cannot go anywhere. I took time off from work. I stayed home. It was a month or something. And at some point, I knew Eddie's gonna pop to my place to slap the living shit out of me for being stupid. So he came to my place, and I was okay. Obviously, I was on my own. I was living on my own because my mom used to live abroad at that time. And he goes, What's going on, man? Because don't tell me any bullshit." He used to work in at CSI, so he would understand everything. He would know straight away that I'm lying. Um, so I told him what happened. And he goes, "Okay, let me make a few phone calls. Let me make a few phone calls." He did. He goes, there was no such occurrence of anyone dying on the street back that day. It was yeah, I'm like, so that was one of the things that, I mean, I told this story to a couple of people, but that was, my God, it taught me that uh, anger is so bad, or rather, keeping the anger in, holding it, is so bad. Such emotions have to go out. We have to have way of unpacking it, or rather diffusing, or rather opening the tire. This bad air has to come out. You have to get rid of it. It was not easy for me. Not easy for me. Until these days, seriously, if I think about my sister, I get angry. Although these days I'm like, so many years past. But yeah, it's still there is this tiny flame that if I think about it, I open too much gas in it, so this very thing makes me angry. I mean, not the whole, not the her death itself, but the reason, you know, what caused it. Yeah.
I think there's a really volatile anger in most people who are very passionate. It's like they feel big feelings all the time, whether it's good or bad. It's just going to be a big feeling, whatever it is. So when it's bad, it's bad. When it's good, it's awesome. So that seems to be a common thread, I think.
But don't you think that it's great after all, because what it makes you? It makes you open, you don't restrain yourself, you go full steam on everything.
Yeah, but I think there's...
It's not safe, not always safe, but I think it makes us, those people, we can indulge, we can appreciate fully, we can show passion, to other people,
You feel your feelings, you absolutely feel your feelings.
And that's how it should be. I know it's not easy. I'm afraid of my daughter, about my daughter, what she's gonna go through when she grows up, all the heartbreaks and everything. And I told her, so many times. She's 10 now, so obviously she started teenage years. Oh gosh. So every time so nowadays when I mention it, although I'm mentioning like with my eye, like half of it is real, but she's like, "Oh my God, Dad," like, "Oh my God, Dad." But I'm saying, listen, because we watched this movie some time ago, and this guy slapped the lady. I said, listen, because I'm educating my daughter in old school movies and everything. I want her to know a proper art. These days, caca that is made. Oh my God, I don't want to. I'd rather have her watching Nightmare on Elm Street instead of shorts on YouTube. Where some dickhead is pumping himself out because, oh my God, look at this. Oh my, I hate this, influences and all this shit. So, and I told her, listen, I want you to know that if anyone would ever do something like this, Daddy has a lot of space in the garden and a shovel. She was like, oh my God, I said, no, I'm telling you. But then again, I'm teaching her, I'm treating my wife like a lady she is for me, and my kids see it, and we treat each other with lots of love and respect and everything. They're gonna be the same. So I know she would never go for a guy who would disrespect her, and she's gonna know some. Also, she's gonna know some physical intervention techniques.
Just to keep herself safe. Yeah.
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 I mean, so my first husband, I'm divorced. Robert's my second husband. So
Yeah.
my first husband was abusive, and I was trapped in that relationship for a really long time. The first time I got married, I was 17. That was a really bad idea. So would not recommend
True.
that at all.
Sure.
And it's like I learned more what not to do than what to do, and what to look for, and how to, like, okay, what do I want in a person I'm going to have a relationship with? And it's like I had to learn from that experience. Otherwise, it
Yeah.
was just going to be like this wasted, like all this time that I wasted with this horrible person who ended up being a monster. And I had no idea, what I had married. So I had to learn from that. Like I had no choice but to learn from it. And I think I'm very passionate, but I kind of choose my moments because I'm just very careful about how I show up to other people, just because you never know, like, what
Because of
kind of
that.
trauma somebody has, or like what might trigger someone or what might upset someone. So I try to be careful because I do feel big feelings. Robert can attest. I feel very big feelings. So I have that proclivity too to have, my highs are really high and my lows are really low. So I try to be careful, like depending on who I'm around. Like if it's just Robert, I feel safe. I can just do whatever. But if it's anyone else, I don't always know like how they're, going to react to, like, oh my God, I've never seen her like that before. What is going on?
You know what? You know what? I understand what you're saying, and I'm thinking, we yeah. So many of us think that we should be careful. Life taught us to be careful. Exactly what you're saying. But some guy at the back of my head, the other me, is telling me just go for it. Like I reckon we should be ourselves, but there's always a way to apologize.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because after all, I'm not saying that we should be offending or no. That's stupid. That's no. I mean, we all create our reality. The way we think about ourselves creates the reality around us. it's quantum entanglement. But we should be ourselves, and we should be in a place that makes us feel good. You know, we should create it. We should connect to places that make us feel good. We should go for stuff that we love, not that we should do. You know, so sometimes it's just listen. I myself, the way we should do this is be a good person, genuinely good person, respectful and everything, and just go for stuff. Just go for it. If someone gets offended by your behavior or your way of being, since you're not a bad person, you have no bad intentions, the energy there is real, there's always a way to apologize. But if someone still doesn't like it, tough. You haven't done anything bad. That's my way of thinking. I mean, we're clever enough to understand what is inappropriate and what is
Right.
what is
Yeah.
not what it is. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you
Okay.
mean.
Yeah.
And emotions are so complex, and
Yeah.
they're such a huge part of what makes us human, you know? And it's like, how do we manage something that's so complex, but it's such an integral part of who we are as human beings? Like that's what
Yes.
makes us human,
Yes.
is
Yes.
feeling those feelings. So it's a
Yeah.
sometimes it's a delicate balance.
Yes. And I would love young people these days. I mean, now, back in my days, so many things were different. Oh gosh, we were more connected to each other. We had more time to spend. We had more time to spend with ourselves, physically doing stuff, instead of sending all the mind energy to social media and everything. We are completely. I mean, kids these days are completely disconnected from what is real, from the physical stuff, from spiritual side of them. I would love young people these days to know that they don't have to understand their emotions. They don't have to, you know, fire all the bridges because they feel bad or there is something wrong. It's cool, it's okay. There are things that are gonna go, shit side all the way. That's the part of life. Afterwards, things are gonna go good. But since you disconnected from it, how can you be able to understand that? Okay, boom, I'm gonna rebuild myself now. After I fall, I have to stand up. No, these days it's like someone told you something bad. Oh God, this is the end of the world. No, it's not. I would love young people these days to understand that they will find themselves at some point, and it's gonna take a shitload of time.
Yeah.
There is no pressure. They press themselves to know who they are, to show themselves the best version of themselves to the people on the internet. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's not real. You can't be yourself, as in you can't understand who you are and how to show yourself, what you want to sell, what you want to show to someone out there when you're 17. Oh gosh. No. No. I would love people to know that, because it ruins lives, you know.
Yeah. I think there's definitely a big impact to that resilience, right? That we learn throughout life. And we only learn
Yeah, that's it.
resilience
That's
through
it.
bad things
That's
happening
it.
and figuring out, like, okay, how do I, okay, well, this is fucked up. So I guess I just keep going and on to the
Yeah.
next thing. It's like shit happens and you just have to be ready to go on to the next thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
And you know what? A beautiful thing to learn is to disconnect from the past. Like yesterday, what happened yesterday, it just happened and it's no more.
yeah.
Really. Really. I mean, obviously, if you got intoxicated with something, so you're gonna suffer today. Obviously, that you're still connected to the yesterday. But I'm just saying, I learned I taught myself to disconnect from the past because dragging this whole weight with you, it's just so exhausting.
It
And you're
is.
sending all the energy to the past and all the energy to the future. You have no idea what it's going to be. You can impact it, sort of, you can influence it to a certain point, but we should learn to live now. There's so many things, so many great things to do every day by simply just being present sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, actually, I started this podcast because I thought I was like on the verge of getting laid off my job. And I'm like, well, I'm going to need something to occupy my time. I've always wanted to start a podcast. I'm just going to do it. It was like the universe saying, you've been saying for like 4 years you were going to start a podcast. So maybe
Boom.
now's the time, so things kind of aligned, and it's like there's a reason for everything, right? I
There
think
is.
everything happens for a
True
reason,
that.
and I still have my shitty job that I hate, whatever. So I go every day and I put in my time. But then when I get home, I can do all the fun stuff like edit
You
my
disconnect
podcasts or
and you
play
do your
video
stuff.
games or have fun
Yes.
conversations with people, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, this was like the universe telling me that like now's the time, all of that bad stuff happening.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just have to go with it and
Yeah,
just
just we
listen
have to
to the
stay open.
universe.
You have to stay open, no expectations. You just stay open and
Yeah.
just react to what's going on around.
Yeah. Yeah. And as somebody who's very logical about things, I kind of had a hard time with just shutting it down and just figuring out like what's the universe trying to tell me, because it's like I have a friend who does tarot readings, and she's very clairvoyant, and she has a really strong connection to the universe. And
Great.
she's such an interesting person to talk to. She's amazing. And she was like, just quiet your mind and see if you can figure out the universe is trying to tell you. And I was like, I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. There's no science in that at all. Like that's
Yeah,
not
there
real.
is.
So
There
then I started
is.
doing it a little bit. And then I
There
was like,
is.
oh, this is what she's talking about. It doesn't have to be some huge, profound, life-changing thing. It could just be making a different choice one day, and then all of a sudden now you're on this path, like good things are happening. So it could just be like something tiny,
Yeah.
just
There is this thing. The system that we're living in is made to disconnect us from ourselves. You are being kept busy immensely from early morning to late hours, just not to have time for yourself. That's how it's done. It's done on purpose. And this is real. We are connected. We are so connected to the universe.
we are.
Always been. We always have been. And they know it. So they keep us disconnected so we are not able to figure out what we're going to do, what we want to do, who we are, how to obtain things that we want to. Yes, it's not magic. It's science.
We've talked about a lot of stuff, which is awesome. This is probably one of the most interesting conversations I've ever had. This is great.
Nice.
This is great. This is why I don't do this live, because
That's
sometimes
okay.
shit like this happens. I'm like, I'm gonna cut all this out. So this is really important to me. So at the end of every episode, what I like to do is have my guests talk about causes or missions that are very near and dear to their heart. So it could be maybe a charity. It could be, a cause that you support or believe in. So I was wondering if there's any causes or charities or anything that you would like to take this opportunity to signal boost and give them a shout out, and then I can find them online, and I'll put a link in the description so that people can find.
I'm going to tell you straight away off the bat, I support any kind of movement, organizations that work around or help people to, or rather to organizations or movements or that kind of stuff that save people from committing suicides. Okay, so suicide helplines. I don't have any specific ones, but this is always the first thing that comes to my mind. Yeah, and actually me and Marvin, we've talked about this, that from next year we're gonna start putting this page with 3 numbers for UK, USA, and Germany, perhaps. Suicide helpline before each episode. Yeah, that's the thing I support. Very, yes. It's this very thing has, because that was the very impactful sort of topic in my life. So that's why this is it. Obviously, there's many charities and many, things like that. But this, yes. The next one in line would be human trafficking, especially if it comes to children. Mm-hmm. Yes. Those topics. Boom, there you go.
Okay. Yeah. That's fine. And that's fine if you don't have a specific one, even just a general, what causes are near and dear to your heart. So, and you're located in the UK, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, I'll just find the links for like anything based in the UK, anything based in the US. All those kinds of things. Yeah,
great. That would be fantastic. Yeah,
this was such an awesome conversation, and the whole idea is that you get to talk, and then I just ask things that lead us on to other topics, and I think this was a great conversation. Yeah, thank you so much, Mars. This was a lot of fun.
It was my pleasure. It was awesome. It was. See, it looked like it was completely unscripted. I mean, obviously you had questions ready, but it was just flowing naturally, I think.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
Yeah, just 2 friends having a conversation over tea. Did you like that video, Internet? Watch another one. Click here. It's probably covering our faces. We're not sure. We like to review things. We like to eat things. Check it out. It's a lot of fun. And don't forget to subscribe.